Support for this podcast comes from the law firm of Davis Malm. Whether you're a developer, property owner, manager, or commercial tenant, their real estate attorneys know the lay of the land, not just the law. Learn more at davismalm.com.
WBUR Podcast, Boston.
I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and you're listening to The Common. Boston is home to a lot of folks who have roots in the Caribbean. The city's Caribbean communities include people from Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Trinidad, the list goes on. And a new Dorchester-based organization hopes to unite Caribbean communities within the city and keep them engaged year-round in local politics. So today's guest, Kwame Elias, is the communication director of the new Boston Caribbean American Association, and he is here to tell us more about their mission. Kwame, welcome to The Common.
Good morning, Daryl. Good morning, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes. Good morning.
Yes.
So Kwame, tell us about the association, how it came together. Talk to us.
It's been building, nicknamed BCAA, Boston Caribbean American Association. It's been bubbling for about a year plus, where like-minded folks got together. For the most part, they were promoters at first. Those are people with big, strong followings in the Boston area for their events, cultural events in terms of Caribbean events. What they were trying to do, or we were trying to do, is pretty much find a way to bring that following into a civic-minded following. That way, we as a community, with their following, their backing, their patrons, would now be able to present ourselves all together as one so we can effectuate change, whether that means with projects coming down the pipeline, with events, getting event spaces, cultural centers, a lot of different avenues, housing, anything that could touch on a person on the individual level. That's what we were trying to coalesce. And we did that. And while we were having those meetings, we ended up realizing the best vehicle for this was a nonprofit, hence the Boston Caribbean American Association. So we formed a nonprofit. We're still waiting for the final paperwork, but it's all there, and it should be here shortly.
Got it.
With that said, the like minds got together. We figured out the vision of each individual, see how it could affect the vision of the organization, see how it could help the vision of the organization, their ideas, their concerns, and by extension, their community's concerns also.
So what is the vision of the organization?
Sure. So it's multi-pronged, multifaceted. We've realized there are individuals in power, whether that be City Hall, State House, private industry, but it's all the information on all their talents, all the ways to effect change is siloed. We have a major Caribbean following. How can we effectuate this change? So our mission is to bring that voice that has been missing, that has been splintered, bring it all together and coalesce it into one voice, one action, one movement.
What are the issues that are top of mind for the association right now?
Many. A couple of the ones where we have picked that is bubbling up right now with the budget, for instance. That would be Caribbean history in our schools. It's one thing to live here, go to school here, and never be taught about how proud a history your people has, as well as allowing Bostonians in general to know that and appreciate that. I often found, and I said this before, you feel a sense of belonging. You feel a sense of success when you're understood. And I think bringing Caribbean history to our students in our schools is very important. That's one. Also, we are looking at the cultural center. There's a cultural center study that's kind of being held up in City Hall, from what I understand. We're looking for that to get funded. There's a two-pronged part to this. There's a capital plan for a cultural center, but also there needs to be the study that has to happen. We're trying to push that along and get funding for that through City Hall. It's more or less, culture center, as everyone knows, is somewhere where we can come as a community and display as well as build camaraderie with each other. So whether that be in the arts, in the music, in who we are, there are a lot of other cultural centers or even cultural districts and neighborhoods in Boston that are well represented. Whereas the Caribbean community, being the number one immigrant group in Boston, we often third, fourth on the list of those kind of resources at our disposal or use.
But is that because there's so many different Caribbean communities kind of dispersed throughout the city?
Correct.
That they're not seen as one community? Because they're not one community. They're different cultures.
You hit the
but
nail.
they come from the same region, and there are
Correct.
some similarities in the issues.
Right.
There.
You hit the nail on the head. We are not a monolith. Just like our black folks are not a monolith, Caribbean people are not a monolith. We need the city to respond to each group differently. Because how someone of Afro-Latino descent or Haitian descent may eat, live, pray, and work may not be the same way, on grieve, may not be the same way someone from, let's say, Jamaica. So the resources that the city presents to the different communities within our big Caribbean diaspora here in Boston has to be reflected in that regard, where they take into consideration that, yes, it's a big Caribbean community. It's one. We are one. We move with one voice. But to treat with our issues, our concerns, our wants, you have to come down to our level, which is the individual communities within Boston's Caribbean community.
Kwame, I want to take a break here, but when we get back, I want to talk about the issues that BCAA has its eye on. So we'll be right back.
Did you kill Marlene Johnson?
I think you're one of the first people to have actually asked.
From WBUR and ZSP Media, this is Beyond All Repair, a new podcast about an unsolved murder that will leave you questioning everything.
Somebody should be in jail for murdering my sister.
A woman who's never been believed.
As long as they think I have done this, then they're not looking for who actually did this.
And that's what makes it a cold case.
No, it's a botched case.
And a search for the truth, once and for all.
Wow, it just gets more interesting.
Beyond All Repair. Listen and follow wherever you get your podcasts.
Be careful. You're digging in a place that's been very peaceful for a while.
Do it anyway. Dig.
And we're back with Kwame Elias of the Boston Caribbean American Association. We are talking about the formation of the Boston Caribbean Association, a new Dorchester-based organization that wants to bring the city's Caribbean communities together and bring them into more of the political discourse here. What kind of support is the BCAA getting?
We're getting tremendous support from within State House and City Hall. One of the major things that we're looking forward to is the funding of the Caribbean Liaison Office within City Hall. That was a promise made, and we hope for them to fill that position with someone who's competent and have their agency and policy supported within the city and the State House.
Understood. And how are folks in the community responding?
Are they responding well? The support has been overwhelming. Our DMs are filled, our Instagrams are filled with comments of, how do I sign up? How do I get involved? And so we do have their support. We still have to do the work. We have to show up. We have to show out. We're not just about parties. We have to be civically engaged, whether that means doing voter registrations, showing our community the different issues the candidates are putting forward and or not supporting that applies to us.
I'm thinking about what the president of the association, Robert Wint, what he said in the Dorchester Reporter. The Caribbean community is always trending during the spring, summer, and the warm months. And, Carnival or Caribbean Heritage Month, it's a hot topic and, everybody wants to get down with the Caribbean folks, right? But then those events pass and, see you next year. But I guess what I'm trying to get to is I wonder if there's a way to use that to attract people to the political movement, even as a way to perhaps infuse some joy into the political process. And I wonder how that would sit in this time where politics is so tense and so ugly right now.
It's a blessing and a curse to be in Massachusetts, which is heavily Democratic, as well as not as divisive, I would think. That's a blessing, but it's a curse because everybody believes everything is hunky-dory, everything is okay, everything is all right. But yet you have subsets of people, especially in the Caribbean community, who do not feel that way. So exactly that. Why we don't want to stop the party, and we will never, because that's part of who we are as a people.
Life.
Exactly. We will never lose the joy or leave the joy behind, but we have to bring it with us.
Understood. I want to ask you one last question.
One last question already.
How will you engage young people in your work?
So we have embarked on visiting and or reaching out to the universities because obviously we went to school here too, and there are a lot of Caribbean Americans and people straight from the Caribbean who come to universities here. And oftentimes universities can be lonely in that you have your affinity groups, but you are also Caribbean, right? So you kind of get shuffled into maybe the Black Student Union or even the Caribbean Cultural Club at your particular university. But here is an outside organization that can be your umbrella to weather whatever storms the university may not address for you, whether that is socially or civically.
For students who may be coming to school here, you're a resource in the city for them off of campus to have some kind of community while they're here.
Correct. You want to know where the latest, simple thing is you want to know where the latest roti is or where's the best jerk spot. We have you. You want to know who your city council rep is or your state rep and how to get in contact with them and how to bring them to your campus to speak to you about your concerns. This is who we can connect you with. You want to come to our events, both civic and culturally, that we have here in Boston, because Boston is rich in Caribbean history and Caribbean events. These are the calendar of events coming up. Come out, support, be a part of the wider community. Because it's all one big family, and without the youth, nothing gets done.
I would love to talk longer, but unfortunately, we have to wrap up. But before you go, where can people contact the Boston Caribbean American Association?
Across social media, our handle is Caribbean in Boston. That's Caribbean in Boston.
That's Communication Director of the Boston Caribbean American Association, Kwame Elias. And that's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening to The Common. If you want to hit us up, head on over to Instagram at WBURTheCommon or send us an email at thecommon@wbur.org. I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and I will talk to you tomorrow.